Now, I happen to be an abolitionist. I happen to believe that we need to abolish prisons as the main institution addressing a whole range of social problems that ought to be addressed by other institutions. If drugs are decriminalized, it should be possible to drastically reduce the number of people in prison. So I would say that decriminalization of drugs is the first step in a strategy of decarceration.
I'm 62 years old. I am an ex-convict. I served altogether about 15 years in and out of the federal system and state system. 1960 was my first time that I went to federal prison. There were always drugs in the institution, which brought along a certain amount of violence. Sick as it is, there's a certain amount of status to you. You do a certain amount of time for a certain crime, it becomes part of your identity. It's not something, in my case, that I was willing to give up very easy. When I got clean, I thought perhaps I might get clean, but I would never give up the streets and this image that I was, and I'd worked so hard to get there. My youngest son I was pregnant with the first time I went to prison. Essentially, I abandoned the kids for my own lifestyle, and living with that has not been easy. Crime pays a lot of people, so it's not to anybody's advantage to change really quick.
Corporations that serve our daily needs are deeply implicated in the expansion of the punishment industry. People often do not think deeply enough about the profound impact of imprisonment on a person's psyche. About the emotional impact of imprisonment. Many people assume that someone should be able to spend 2, 5, 10 years, 20 years in prison and then get out and be fine and be able to, sort of live a normal life.
The institution set up a lot of the segregation themselves so that the women don't gain too much power as a community. The scariest thing about being in prison is that you've put your life in somebody else's hands. You've lost all personal choices. Somebody's dictating the rules to you and how your life will play out while you're in there. Above all, when you're inside, you can show no fear. The worst abuse that goes on in prison is the mental abuse. My greatest fear in life is that I won't achieve my goals artistically and creatively and economically, and most of that has to do with the fact that I did spend 10 years with a needle in my arm, which was a greater prison than the physical prison that I then spent another 15 months in. You learn not to show any emotions and not to show any fear, so it's very hard to then be vulnerable in front of others, to trust them and to open up and be who you really are.